Moving forward now, we come to the consent calendar. Is there any member of the board that would like to pull anything from the consent calendar?
I would, Madam Chairman, I would pull 17.1 for further discussion.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the board that would like to pull something from consent? No, thank you very much. Then may I have, is there any member of the public that would like to pull any items from the consent calendar?
I can't see what's on the consent calendar, but the 321 North Main, whatever.
We've got that 17.1.
17.1.
Good, thank you. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar other than item number 17.1?
Second.
So that's Alisal and Salinas. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. The motion passes. And now we will go to item 17.1 from the consent calendar. Thank you. And I do have speaker cards for 17.1. So would you like to have the speaker first, or would you like to speak first?
I think it might be beneficial for me to speak first.
Thank you.
I know we had, this was on last week to sign the lease, and the city, I know a lot of them were gone, weren't able to be here. There were some concerns raised, and as well as from me, and so I know there has been recently some discussions trying to find an alternative between the city and the county so we could work together to find a short-term and a longer-term solution for the homelessness, and I think it would be beneficial for, I know the mayor is here, but I think it would be beneficial for us to continue those discussions so that we can strive to find a resolution where we're all working together on resolving the issue. So if I'm welcome to hear from the mayor, but I guess I know staff has been working and discussing it with the city staff to find some alternative because there's been so much resistance from the city. I guess my preference would maybe give us a little more time to have the discussions, maybe trail it to this afternoon calendar so that we can further explore reaching a resolution, which I think would be productive for everybody's purposes.
Yes. Supervisor Parker.
Yes, maybe trailing into this afternoon. I'd like to have hear from people first. Let's discuss it now, and then see where it seems like we are, because I don't know. And then if we need to trail it to this afternoon to get further clarification, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. So maybe if we could just hear from people, find out where we are, and then see what the appropriate move is.
This is the form in which we should do that. Are you good with that, Supervisor?
Sure.
Okay, great. Then, as is our normal process, we usually go to elected officials in the audience first. So I would like to start with Mayor Venter.
Board, Madam Chair, and the Board of Supervisors. First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity and thank you for reconsidering the location on North Main. I know it's not very popular, and I know that some of your staff is rather agitated with me and my staff over this issue, and they publicly acclaimed that at public meetings, which I'm kind of saddened by. But we're looking at this in a temporary solution until we can find a long-term solution. We will have the only warming shelter in Monterey County. We've had a 57% increase in homelessness here, and it will continue to grow as long as other cities aren't doing this. And I hate to, and I'm here to bash anyone, but each Board of Supervisor member should have one in their district, not necessarily in the city, considering 4 of you represent the city of Salinas. I think we're willing to share with everybody in the county, or they should be willing to pony up some money. We have looked very seriously at the address on North Main and spoken to the residents who live behind there that have small children. They deal with the homeless every day now, and they didn't feel that I was doing them any favor by bringing them another warming shelter. And I have spoken to members of the Board of Supervisors and our staff. We have looked at two other alternatives to 321 North Main. One is the current public defender's office that you have located across from the post office. It's about an 8,300 square foot building. I understand it has restrooms, a kitchen in it, a very facility that could be secured and appropriate services could be provided. With some additional fencing and probably more than likely security that would need to happen there. Would be one alternative, and it would be very feasible and financially sound for us and for the county, rather than invest a tremendous amount of money in a building that isn't ours or yours, however we want to put that. And then the other option is to increase the services that we currently provide through Dorothy's Victory Outreach, and to take over the service center that is at Lake and Soledad and make that for women and children, that hold up to 25 people in that building. The cost would be tremendously less. And then to go forward and to push hard to provide something that provides total year-round services, also provides transitional housing, with county services involved, with the health department, with social services, so that we can take these folks off the street and provide them with good services. Because that's really where we want to go. And if we're going to carry the burden, all of us together, we have to work together on this. And I think none of these solutions are permanent because they're not built yet. We currently have about $270,000 in emergency services grant money that we'd be willing to put into something to get it moving and to get started. And we're willing to negotiate. And one of the items I would like to see, and this is kind of unique, I would like to see both staffs perform a task force without the electeds weighing in until they come up with a solution to figure out how we can work together to make this happen. I think that's really what needs to occur. Supervisors, and I don't like that, we all have plenty to do without another meeting, I'm sure. All of us would love to have another meeting, but I think that's what we need to do. And that's what my staff has recommended that I come up and say today, and I wholeheartedly support their hard work on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. And shall we go to the scheduled speakers then? And if I call your name and if you don't choose to speak, that's absolutely fine. But I will go ahead and call the names of the speakers that we have, and because we have a number of them, if I could ask you to limit your comments to 2 minutes, I would appreciate that. And the first name that I have is Kathleen Kabrinsky Evans.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Catherine Kabrinsky Evans. I'm a business person and property owner in the downtown district and have been for many years. I am chair of the Salinas City Center Improvement Association, and we represent 217 properties that make up our district boundaries, with 130 different unique property owners, and of course many small business owners, large business owners, employees, visitors, clients, as well as just the community that attends schools and churches and other activities downtown. We are urging you to work together with the City of Salinas to find a solution which we believe should be located at 1220 Natividad. We think that a shelter without wraparound services is just kicking the can down the road another year. This emergency shelter situation in 2016 in the summer was an emergency. This spring, it was a failure to not have resolved it. And now here we are in the fall again, appearing apparently no closer to any kind of a real solution. We urge you once again to move the site to 1220. If you have to get portables out there for the first winter, please do so. Get the wraparound services, engage the social services department and the health department, provide these people with pathways to get where they need to go. Transition needs to be the goal, as well as their protection, health, and safety. The situation as it is right now and continuing to grow in the downtown district is hurting everyone, including the homeless. And the inactivity and ineffectiveness of all of this planning is incredibly harmful, and we are all divided because of it. So please do what you need to do, get this happening at 1220. We really encourage that and would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we have Doug Dunn. And then after Doug Dunn, we have Denise Estrada.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, Madam Chair. I'm Doug Dunn from Salinas, South Salinas. I live in the county of Monterey. I've been here for years. This has been going on for a long time. We cannot delay this any longer. Homeless they're at risk, health, welfare, and safety at risk. Honorable Supervisor Phillips, it costs, you know as well as I do, it costs taxpayers money for the courts. The house will be in jail for a year, $40,000+, failure to appear in court, a warrant for the arrest, not counting medical care and other things. I mean, this has been going on for many, many years. We're asking for help here. That's all we're asking for. If the mayor, Joe Goodger, agrees and you guys agree, I would like to be on the task force along with Wes White. We've been down in Chinatown, around this city, around this county for several years, helping out the homeless. And it's now time to do something right. Winter is coming near, rain season is coming near, and we can't afford to lose our resident in our community due to hypothermia or disease or infection, the health. All we're asking for you guys to do the right thing. Thank you, Supervisor Luceleo, for your leadership. Thank you, Simone Salinas, for your leadership. Thank you, Jay Park, for your leadership. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, I'm Denise Estrada, longtime resident of Monterey County and retired director with the city of Salinas. I now serve on the board of the First Mayor's House and have been instrumental in the rehabilitation of some of the depot's historic assets. During my professional tenure, I was responsible for mitigating some of the impacts of the growing homeless population, including the encampment cleanups, security issues at public facilities, as well as waterway pollution. Unfortunately, things don't seem to be getting any better, and every day at the First Mayor's House, the students and visitors have to be watchful for syringes, needles, and human waste on the grounds from campers overnight. My own family's experienced the pain and suffering from mental illness and also from drug addiction. So like you, I'm really torn between trying to do the compassionate thing for the people who are less fortunate than we are, as well as protecting the residents, merchants, and public servants who really work tirelessly to develop a vibrant downtown. Salinas needs a healthy economy. It also needs to take care of all of those who are certainly less fortunate than we are. There are concerned citizens who would help you find constructive solutions. A more thoughtful process involving community input will likely be more successful than a costly temporary shelter at 321 Main Street. Limited public funds should not be spent at this location where needed homeless services are not available currently and where conflicts will certainly continue to exist to jeopardize well-being of the downtown Salinas. Please consider forming a community coalition to find a more appropriate solution to this issue.
Thank you for your remarks. Before I take the next speaker, I have been neglectful in announcing that we have our interpreter today, who is Diego Ceres. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Good morning. For those that need simultaneous Spanish translation, please come and get a receiver. Para las personas que necesitan traducción simultánea en español, por favor, tomar un receptor.
Thank you very much. Now our next speaker is Larry Broussard, then Frank Saunders, and then Paul Farmer.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Larry Broussard. I am here representing as a member of the First Mayor's House and also a volunteer with the Downtown Property Owner Association. The recommendation to spend nearly $3 million at the 351 North Main is really a bad idea. That number has gotten worse because I now understand the building would have to be sprinklered. It's an ill-conceived location. First Mayor's House hopes several thousand students from all over the county in our 3rd and 5th grade education program, as Denise mentioned to. The staff and volunteer staff do search the grounds every morning for syringes and dealing with human waste. We've had enough, and we don't need a homeless shelter again downtown. The one last year, right at the credit union, Pertner did us in. So neither does the downtown property owner need another homeless shelter downtown. And many of us have spent hundreds of hours working on the vibrancy plan to revitalize downtown, and this is an albatross. We need to make logical, long-term solutions out at Natividad where all the services can be provided and deal in a compassionate way to serve that homeless community, but not downtown, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Frank Saunders. I'm also a downtown property owner, and I'm a member of the Salinas City Center. I chair the sidewalk and security board within our committee within our board, and I'm intimately aware of all the problems that have occurred in the downtown as a result of the homeless activity, particularly the areas around the city hall, around the rec center, around the library, the Methodist church. As a downtown property owner, I do not support the homeless shelter at 321 North Main Street. It's a major entrance to our downtown. Every car that comes into the downtown has to pass by this location. I don't think any of the cities in this county would like to have that as their doorway to the downtown. It just doesn't make good sense. In addition, it's a high traffic street. You'll have homeless people walking across the street from Chinatown, many of whom are impaired by drugs and alcohol or mental illness. It's going to be a definite safety risk for a lot of these people who are supposedly trying to help. I reiterate what our mayor said. He's opposed to this site. The cost of this site is ridiculous. $50,000 a month for 50 beds, $10,000 a month per person, $120,000 a year per person. That's just amazing to me. This money has to be available for a long-term solution. And the long-term solution, we believe, is the one at Natividad and Laurel, Natividad and Laurel. We hope that you will direct your funds to that permanent solution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Paul Farmer. I'm the CEO of the Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce, and my voice represents almost 700 members with thousands and thousands of local residents and employees who work here in the city and the county. First, I want to thank you for addressing this issue. We all agree that there's a problem that we need to work together to resolve. I would say that we have a very important positive, though, and that is that there has been largely a consensus on where we should put the long-term solution for this at 1220 Natividad. The problem in the short term, the Chamber agrees with many who have said, let's work on making that 1220 Natividad also the short-term solution, whether that's portables or something else. But we need to be able to provide those services there. I would say also that the staff report comments on county staff working with the city of Salinas for over 4 years on this issue. Well, working with the city implies that you must have their agreement on this, and the city is not in agreement with this. So let's work with the city on an area that they can agree with and that they can agree to fund, not have the county do it by themselves. And finally, I would say to Supervisor Phillips' comment that I appreciate your trying to help us make progress on this issue, but the suggestion to just push it off until this afternoon, I think we probably need more time to be able to do that. If you need to wait another week, maybe we can then provide some consensus on what that short-term solution is. But again, we'd like to see that happen at 1220 Natividad. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Farmer. Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak to this? You may not have filled out a form.
Hello, Wes Weiss, Salinas resident, president of Salinas Homeless Union. Very concerned about what's been happening in the last few years. I think about Tamsy and the way that went down and the attitude and the statements of the city center and the Chamber of Commerce. It still feels an awful lot like open discrimination. And it really hurts because what are we going to do with these people? What we're talking about is 1220. That's long term. What did you say about $1.6 million or something per portable to put on 1220? We're talking numbers. These guys are Chamber of Commerce. These guys, they know business. They know numbers. And to divert over to 1220 is just it really frustrates me because we should have role models that you know they're in a position of power. It's not really hurting them to have people there the way that they just were so blatantly cruel at that Tansy meeting, in my opinion, of course. But it's hurting, and we've got to do something. There were 70, and it was getting fuller when it was at the Women's Auxiliary. They were claiming that nobody was showing up. That's how come we have to shut it down. Now it's a different reason. Tansy traffic on the corner there is Salinas Street and Market. That's a high traffic area. That was never a concern then. All these red herrings, we've really just got to start treating people right. These are our role models. Work with the city. Well, that's mainly saying on our terms, on our demands, which means nowhere near us at all. We've got to stop this NIMBYism. It's got to be somewhere. I'm hoping that it's a PD building or somewhere. Because then you got more control. I like that idea. Gosh, let's go forward now. We need to take care of people. People's lives are at risk, and pushing people around with this and playing with this attitude, that's our elitism, man. It's got to stop.
Thank you. Thanks for your remarks.
Well, Steve Acton, I mentioned this before. Has anybody checked out the possibilities at Fort Ord? I mean, if nothing else, was to put tents where they had access to kitchen and bathroom facilities, you know, MST bus pass. Just to at least check the place out. I have no idea if it's the barracks or little asbestos and other stuff that we don't want to do. Has anybody bothered to check it out, to see if it's a possibility? And if not, well, send some folks down there to check it out and see if it can be used. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there any other member of the audience that would like to comment before we bring it back to the board for a robust discussion? Okay, seeing none. So, you want to start this in? You want to start?
Yeah, I would renew my preference for trailing it this afternoon to see if staff can come together on agreement in principle. The idea of putting it off for another, if we're going to go into the 321 building, we're going to have to start making tenant improvements immediately. And so time is of the essence, and we put it over a week at my request. But there was some concern about the immediacy of the issue. And I think we need time for staff between the city and the county to sit down and see if we can agreement in principle so that next week we can have a signed agreement with both of us. To me, I think the direction is pretty clear. And I agree with what a lot of the speakers have said. 1220, the Tivitat, I think is the best location for a permanent shelter. I think we move forward on that and expedite the things that need to be done there as soon as possible. Moving portables there, I think, is completely the wrong answer. It's expensive, and as soon as we move the portables there, then the urgency goes away, and we've used a lot of the money that we should be using for permanent modifications the wrong way. I think we move forward with the public defender's office for the short term, and that offers these community leaders the idea and the assurance that this is just for a year, I met the mayor and Jim Pia down there. We looked about putting a privacy fence up to provide privacy for everybody and security and maintenance, the agreement. That has a big advantage of saving us some money that we can use for the long term versus the short term. And I know the public defender has offered to expedite moving out so that we can move in there, and it's a nice facility that needs almost no costing. And I know I talked to Dan Baldwin of the Community Foundation, who's very interested in supporting the homeless. He thought these two alternatives, the short term just for a year and moving the other one was the way. And I think the city and the county ought to come like we did before with a 50-50 cost share. So we're partnering together on resolving this issue. So I agree, this may be something here in Salinas. I think we're probably going to have to look at a homeless solution for the peninsula too, and having places there for the homeless. But I think this is the first start.
Thank you, Supervisor Phillips. Supervisor Salinas?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm not adverse to Supervisor Phillips laying out. I think a good resolution, at least for this part, and certainly the mayor has indicated his willingness to meet with our county staff. I agree. I don't know if by this afternoon they can come together, but they can at least tell us that they can, within a week, they'll be able to reach some type of agreement in terms of the PD's office becoming temporary or 1 year. And I agree also, we need to keep everybody's feet to the fire. If we use it as a 1 year, then we all commit to do as much as we can to get the 12, 20-year Natividad site ready. And it's not that easy to just put portables in there. We need to master plan that site. We need to come up with a sketch also that's going to meet the surrounding communities there support. Because it's going to be the same site. It'll be the NIMBYs out there also that'll come out and say we don't want it. There's a shopping center directly counter to that one, so they might get organized. So I think, at least from here, we're getting agreement, and that's becoming the permanent site. But we do need to deal with the emergency site, a temporary site that we need for this winter. It's almost around the corner. We've got to be able to deal with it, so I'm not adverse to the timeline that the development.
So before we go on for the rest of the board members for comments, I just have a question for Dr. Baumann. Do you think that one more week, if we come back in a week, that will slow down the work that needs to be done in order to be able to choose the public defender's portables, if that's what we were to decide?
Madam Chair, I believe that it's adequate for the public defender. I think the issue is that the board would need to make a decision in terms of the lease on Main, because I believe the time is very short.
So we have two decisions that we need to make today. Okay, great, good, thank you, that's good. Okay, Supervisor Vallejo?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm also in agreement with Supervisor Phillips that I think it would be helpful after having this discussion to trail this issue to the afternoon, just so we could have an opportunity to flesh out some more of the details, only because time is of the essence. And last week I conveyed my willingness and my commitment to continue hoping that this would be a partnership between the city and the county. I was reluctant to push it off a week because already under the timeline, the site at 321 Main, even if they moved it the quickest, it wouldn't be open as a winter shelter till the end of November. So I take that with a lot of seriousness, but in order to be able to have an opportunity to talk to Mayor Gunter and the city staff and just kind of flesh out at least a verbal commitment at this point, I think it would be helpful for us. But I did want to remind everyone that this always started out, the referral starts out by talking about a permanent shelter in the peninsula and in Salinas. That has always been the intent from day one. And so far, Supervisor Parker and Adams are leading that effort. Supervisor Parker has led the effort to do a safe parking program in Marina in her district, and that's moving forward. So I think I just wanted to remind everybody of that. The site at 321 Main, I want to make clear because the numbers seem to be confusing some. The cost for repairs, that includes issues like the sprinklers and the ventilation system, it's $250,000 at 321 Main Street. The rest of the cost is for the security, for the contracts for the nonprofit to run the place. But we're talking about $250, and then I think per acre foot, it's about $1.25, and that includes some of that cost with the construction that needs to be done at that site. So it's a very reasonable price. By far the cost is what it would take to run it. And we were always pursuing a type A only because that was by right, that was non-discretionary, and that limited that site to be used for 50 people. A type A wouldn't allow the wraparound services, even though that was always our intent, to have a site that could have the comprehensive wraparound services for the residents. Under a type B, it would allow wraparound services and had the ability to serve over 100 people under that different permit. So I just wanted to be clear. But beyond this one site, if there is an alternative for us to be able to agree on and partner on, like the public defender site, I mean, I think that's a suitable alternative and would save those $250,000 in construction costs. It could be up in a timeline to be open in November, which I think is critical because otherwise we're putting our homeless residents' lives at risk during the storms and during the cold. So I think we have to take that with great seriousness. And then lastly, on the permanent side, that we try to be inclusive of everyone. We did invite our nonprofit providers, the Community Foundation, the Salinas City Center, the Salinas Chamber of Commerce. We invited them to help us search for every possible site, and we had asked if anybody knew any other sites that could be suitable for a shelter, and we looked at all of them. And in the end, it was everyone's opinion that 1220 was the best site for permanent shelter, and we're moving on that. We already voted that we should move, and at least from the board's perspective, that be our permanent site. But the second challenge was, what do we do in the meantime until we can get the construction going at the permanent site and build it out adequately so that it is suitable for a long, permanent use as a year-round shelter in this community. And that's what we're focused on now, is what do we do in the interim so that we're not putting people's lives at risk come this winter. So I look forward to continue working with the City of Salinas and Mayor Gunner. I applaud him for being here and for working with us and trying to find another alternative.
Thank you. Supervisor Parker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's important that we try to find a way to have the city as a partner. No one jurisdiction can deal with these issues on our own, and so if we can come up with something by this afternoon, I think that would be desirable. I think when we do come back this afternoon, I would need to hear from staff, how quickly could the public defender portables be ready if that's the solution? I know it takes time for the public defender to move. I don't know if their offices here are ready, how long it takes to actually move, so that may take some time, and then I don't know how long the improvements might take, because winter is coming, whether we like any particular solution or not, so I think we need to really be mindful of that. I also think as people are discussing this between now and this afternoon, I think we need to be clear. I've heard from some speakers here today, no more shelters downtown, and frankly, the public defender portables look more downtown to me than 321 North Main, so if that's the solution we're going for, we need to make sure that we've got a commitment from the city, staff talking to each other. That is how a lot of problems can get worked out. But we're going to need to see a commitment, I think, from the full city council. So I think this afternoon, if staff can come up with some proposals that seem possible, I'm open to considering them. But I think we need to be prepared to take some action this afternoon and perhaps provisionally move forward on the item that's before us. Maybe to say, go forward and negotiate the lease. I'd personally like to see a timeline of the improvements spelled out in the lease, so we have some accountability there. I also would request that for the improvements, about $158,000 is proposed to come out of cannabis revenue. We have not had a board discussion about how the cannabis revenue is to be spent, so I think it's premature to speak about allocating that money. And I would hope that we could use contingency for that particular chunk of putting the funding together. Also, I think if we move forward this afternoon with some way to move forward on the 321 Main Street, so we don't lose any time in case this doesn't work out with the city. I think we need to negotiate the operations contract, but I would be reluctant to say that we're on the hook for an estimated amount of money. I would like that contract to be negotiated and come back to us for approval with recommendations about how that is going to be funded, because I think that's it's going to be important for us to really know the impact of our decision and to really be sure we have a solution. So I appreciate the opportunity to revisit this afternoon, but I would just say, I was prepared to vote on the 321 North Main proposal last week. I think we need to have that as a backup plan, because if that's what we're left with at the end of the negotiations, we can't afford to lose any more time. So I hope something can work out with the city, but my concern is that I think we do need to have I would think we need to have a commitment from the full city council to understand where their political will is, and that will take more than just a few hours today to get. So I think it's important that we keep all our options open as best we can, and we consider that this afternoon, depending on what we hear. Thank you.
Thank you. So it sounds like we have two motions that may or may not be needed today. One that's dealing with 321 North Main, and the other dealing with some sort of a body to come back with a suggestion on what we can do to move forward, particularly looking at the portables. I honestly don't know whether or not it would be enough time. I'm looking at my supervisor to the far left, Supervisor Phillips, whether it would be enough time to come back in the afternoon, and I'm looking at the mayor as well, whether there would be enough time for staff to get together and make any kind of meaningful discussion. Maybe it does need to go to your full council, and if in fact that's so, then I would suggest and would make a motion to the effect that we put together a small task force, but primarily, as you have indicated, staffs from each of the entities to come back next week with a plan, particularly looking at the portables. If in fact that doesn't work, then I agree with Supervisor Park and Supervisor Alejo that we need to keep 321 North Main as a possibility. So your comments?
That would be fine, Chair. We don't have a council meeting until 4 o'clock. This item is not currently on our agenda. I will have the discussion. We will put it forward to have a meeting with 3 of my housing council members, and I will direct our staff to meet with the county staff and hopefully have some resolution, and it may not happen today by the time you meet this afternoon.
And I'm trying to get a sense from
I'm sure by next week we will have better than a resolution, hopefully before the end of the week, and our city manager will contact your CEO, and maybe they will have it all dialed in and put on paper for all of us to work with.
Okay, so why don't you hang around for just a minute then. So looking at us trying to get resolution.
I still think it's worth at least having the discussion. It can't hurt to have the discussion trail to 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon to try to get an agreement in principle, so that the mayor knows what he can try to sell to his people, and we know what we can do with ours. If we can't, I think we can make the decision then to trail it to a week or not. But,
I see nodding. And Dr. Baumann has his finger on the button.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to ask the maker of the motion if, in addition to looking at the various short-term and long-term alternatives, that perhaps the council and the board would consider adopting a resolution of intention memorializing these agreements both for the short-term and long-term, and that's something that could be brought back at the next board and council meeting. And that resolution of intention would recognize that both entities recognize this is a community issue and commit to provide a temporary winter shelter and work collaboratively for a long-term shelter. And we would collaborate with your staff and our staff to site design, construct, and operate both those facilities. We would share in the cost. And then that resolution of intention would also indicate that we would be directed to come back with an MOU memorializing that agreement, so we can move forward without having this discussion again.
So is your feeling that that would be able to be done by this afternoon, or should we trail it?
After this afternoon.
I think we would just ask the mayor and his staff if they would consider coming back with that recommendation, that resolution of intention would be adopted next week, and we would also have some preliminary discussions about options, recognizing that wherever you put these facilities, there's going to be challenges, and we want to be flexible and adaptable, and recognize this is our joint challenge.
Thank you, Dr. Tom. We'll see what we can put together for this afternoon. We'll have our staff meet with your staff and see where we go. Hopefully in a positive dialogue.
Yeah, Mayor, may I ask, is Jim Pia, and perhaps I know Ray is certainly busy preparing for council, is Mr. Pia available to work with us?
I'll see, it'll probably be Megan Hunter and Anastasia Wyatt, and we'll see what Mr. Pia, our city manager, is currently out of the country, so and we do have a meeting before. I will be meeting with him as soon as I go back over there.
Thank you so much.
And then from our side, who do we have?
It would be Elliot and Manny Gonzalez would take over.
So are we expecting them to come back this afternoon at a certain point?
In terms of agenda management, certainly one option is we can trail the CIP presentation. And I'm not sure if that's
Presentation that never seems to come forward, okay?
And it may be appropriate to understand there's a proposed repeal on SB1 to add to our challenges. But if we could trail that item in lieu, have that as the last, bring this back as the last item of the day. And I'm guessing that's going to be around 3:30.
Okay, so could we have agreement on that from all of us then? Excellent. So we will then, I'll make a motion that we will trail this item until this afternoon at a time hopefully closer to 3, but maybe 3:30. So all in favor, please, or do I have a second?
We don't get a motion.
Does he need a motion to do this to trail? Well, we're trailing. There we go. Okay, see you later.
Honestly, it's do stuff for free. It's just kind of disappointing because we got to pay money.
Have you ever thought about working for like a video company?
The one thing with jobs is now you got a boss and you're stuck doing what they want to do, and a lot of them fall short. You know, I mean, even editing. Unfortunately, like the news channel, and you know, I've been misquoted, I've been underquoted, and totally missed. There's an agenda, I guess, an idea and attitude of pervasiveness that just persists. I don't know. That's marketing, I guess. You're stuck in culture.
Can you, for the record, say your full name and who you are?
Okay, I'm Wes White, W-E-S-W-H-I-T-E. I am a citizen of the world, a retired teacher, president of the Salinas Homeless Union, and all around great guy.
And talk to me a little bit about, you know, what you're seeing in terms of the city and the county trying to tackle the issue of homelessness in Salinas and around.
I think our society doesn't really worry about anybody else but themselves first, and that permeates the culture of self-centeredness, and money plays a big part in that too. Whether you need it or not, you want it. It is a life force. From what I've noticed, dealing with the city has been more what I've been dealing with directly the last couple of years. They've been very adamant about dragging their feet for progress. Kind of more as a throwing money out of the problem rather than treating people decently in the first place. So we discriminate, and then we apologize for discriminating, and trust me. 2011, I think, there was a big push of people camping. In 2013, people camping, and that got their warming shelter at the Women's Auxiliary. That was begrudging. That same year, actually, or no, in 20. I got in there in 2014. So the 2015, while they were at the Women's Auxiliary, one guy went in the bathroom and came back out, and two of the mayor's best friends or at least one that I know, and the other guy I didn't know, but they're pretty good friends with me. And one of them looked straight in the eyeball and said, I hope those homeless people fall off the face of the fucking earth. That's what he said word for word. And while he looked in his eyes, right through him. Like, I mean, and this is the attitude and perception of us. Because we're not treating people right, we're not treating people fair. What in the world are you begrudging a public facility to use a bathroom when I mean, you know, because of money? Because of money, it creates open discrimination. You know, we've been doing this sexism and racism as our top tier. And then poor people is how we are only able to do it now. You know, the eugenics issue has been a problem for a long time. The city, unfortunately, is just not interested. You know, with this new, the 321, from what I heard, is the county and the city agreed. 321, North Main, all right, let's do it. That's how it ended up on the agenda to begin with. And then, well, the city management, city corporate, the mayor, the manager, and the attorney had to talk to their boss, the city center and the Chamber of Commerce. And they have not been happy about that at all. And TAMSI, you know, at that TAMSI meeting, when you've got a mayor saying a drop dead agreement, that is what these guys are talking about. I wish you guys would just, this is flat earth man made the cats, pushing people off. So that hurts me, because it's the attitude, you know, we're gonna work with you. Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? That's not okay, that's not right, that's a manipulation of words, everything's over the word, and that's the part I wanna see authenticity, I wanna see genuineness. And if you're going to say it, then do it, or don't say it at all. I mean, everything that we need to learn as a society, we learn in kindergarten, and we've been trying to suppress that knowledge ever after. A lot of people don't, because of the empathy. Nobody wants to care about anybody else but themselves. Why share? It's mine. You got to get past that. You know, it's time. We have mirrors everywhere, everybody, and so the same stuff has always been happening and been denied. Now the deniability has been 9/10 of the law, and now hopefully the proof and the truth can be 9/10 of the law.
Can you talk about the ordinance that the city is considering tonight? What this means for the community that's living on the streets, has been dealing with a similar ordinance last year, being moved out during cleanups, and what have you seen in terms of the city's approach to this issue?
You know, I'm pleased to see that they are doing something. This 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. is closely similar to the 6 to 6 from last year. And I think one of the major driving forces of this is a little bit of chump change. Hey, we don't want to shelter, but at least we won't kick you around overnight. And, you know, I mean, that's, there again, it's begrudging. And it's given in ill will, a neglectful or abusive parent type style. And it's not conducive to helping these people.
So do you see it as a positive that they're giving this time overnight, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, we'll take it, absolutely, we'll take it. Any kind of sanity is better than none at all. But quite honestly, I mean, we need to meet people where they're at. Okay, we already realize that there is nowhere else for these people to go. They are our residents, 83% or whatever from the point in time consensus. So what are we going to do with these people? We need to just respect them as people. And if they're causing problems, let's catch them in the act. Let's get them in trouble. Okay, I'm all for that. But if they're not doing anything, then that doesn't give us a reason to openly discriminate and go, well, you did it somewhere, so now you're gone. You can't deal with trash, well, so now you're gone. Have you seen how many people in houses have dirty houses and nasty houses? And oh my word. So it's not a housing or not house issue. It's people issue. It's behaviors. It's habits. And our role models don't do things positively. What do you injure people, and they're going to end up being dysfunctional. We're not nurturing. We're not trying to heal people.
Thank you for your time, and you'll have to, forgive us. We only get about a minute and 30 seconds to tell the story.
And I don't even know how you can use any of this, to be honest.
Well, let me give you my card. Feel free if you see stuff going on, story ideas, or even questions.
Okay.
My inbox is always open.
All right.
And I see you at all of the events, so I know that you're very involved and.
I try to keep up. In fact, I might just try to do a supervisor around here next week. So, you want to talk to that guy over there?
Yeah. Back behind.
I've been on your news station.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny.
Hey, I'm sorry for
Oh.
the craziness on your Facebook.
We talked during the Tansy meeting, and it seems like just a long time ago that they were having that discussion, and here we are continuing the discussion of where's the shelter going to go.
Homelessness in Chinatown, they went on for years. Look at the history, right?
Are you ready?
You better get on the air
I know,
there.
because he's going to talk before we start rolling.
Right, new angle again?
Where do I stand here or?
Yeah,
Get your good side. Which side's your good side?
Yeah, I should have taken look like a bum. Hey, I'm not homeless, by the way.
yeah, sorry about that. That was
Too late. I already believe it. Whether you like it or not.
My buddy called me up and said, Doug, you're homeless? Oh, shoot. Where you at? I'll come pick you up. I said, no, I'm homeless. I'm a house.
We're human too.
Yeah,
live in
that's
the
right.
day, but I always own up.
I'm a homeowner. My mortgage payments are tax. Come on, I'm paying taxes. Oh, man. That's funny.
Right now, she's currently having
So, for the record, can you say your full name and who you are?
Douglas Dunn. I'm a South Salinas resident. I've been here in this county and city for maybe almost 20 years. Born in New Jersey, raised in New York City. And I got out of Florida. I was a soldier in the Army, about 11 years or so.
And what brings you to these meetings regarding this issue?
Because I care. I've been an advocate and activist for the homeless for many years. Back in the day, I'm not going to stop. This is a compassionate concern I have. And I've been feeding homeless and giving them food, clothes, items, poultry articles. Whatever their needs are. Trying to keep them dry, clean, and warm. Giving them blankets, sleeping bags, pillows, tents, tarps, whatever they need to stay safe and keep their health going. Because they're high risk. It's going to be cold soon. The rains are coming. The heat, it could be hypothermia. Their medical conditions. I tried sleeping out there for 3 days. I was on a hunger strike, without food, and I drank water down there, and I was getting sick. I feel good. Imagine day in and day out for years being down there. It's terrible. I wouldn't last.
And what do you think about what's going on both at the county level, the city level, their approaches?
It's delay. It's all delay. Delay, push back, delay, push back. NIMBY, not my backyard. It's sickening. It's a disgrace, This is no longer a crisis. This is a catastrophe. This is like a storm. This reminds me of the hurricanes, or the blizzards, in New York City, we don't have it here, but when's it coming, Homelessness and the poor, this is a major crisis. It's not going away soon. The rents are skyrocketing. You're too poor to afford a place to stay or a place to live. South Salinas, 3,009 children are homeless. This is South Salinas Elementary School District. This is not Alisal or the other school district. South Salinas, as of 2 years ago, 3,009 children are homeless. How do they learn? Where are they getting their food? Where are they living at? In the cars, in people's garages, substandard housing, in the streets. Me and Wes White have seen children sleeping on concrete at the flagpole in the city hall. We've seen them down in Chinatown. We see them in the cars. We see them all over this county and city. It's a disgrace. Children, infants. I've seen infants, newborn infants, down in Chinatown. Newborn. It's disheartening. Where's the compassion in this county and the city? That's what I'm asking these people. Where's our compassion? Where's our heart? You put somebody in jail for failure to appear, $40,000 not counting medical care. For a year for failure to appear, a misdemeanor, non-violent crime. I'm the taxpayer. I don't want to pay for that. I'd rather put it on the ballot measure. Put this issue on the ballot measure. I'm willing to pay more taxes. We have on the ballot measure, we have taxes for cannabis now, we have taxes for alcohol, we have taxes for tobacco. Where's the taxes for the homeless? Put it on the ballot. I'm willing to pay, cough up some money, easily, I'll work harder, I'll get another job. I'm willing to pay my taxes.
And there's a debate going on over where to put temporary shelters.
Yeah.
I mean, talk to me about that.
It's this NIMBY nonsense, not in my backyard, You got the Chamber of Commerce, the Visitor Center, yeah. The businesses have a right to have their customers. I go downtown and I eat on the weekends with my family. I go down there and wine and dine with my family, Yeah, of course, but I never had any problem with homeless, I go down there, eat, freely sit down, eat my meal, quietly with my family, and then pay the bill and walk out the door. And I don't feel threatened. I walk by the homeless and the poor. They don't threaten me. I say, most people know me. I say hello. They don't harass and bother me. It's just, it's outrageous, The community our community needs to come together as a community and stop this stuff. We have to stop this. This discrimination, racism, bigotry. We see it with the DACA, our dreamers, I mean, the country's divided, These are people who are trying to get their education and become good citizens.
While the county is debating with the city over where to put a temporary shelter, tonight the City Council of Salinas is considering a new ordinance about, cleaning up encampments and making it unlawful to camp on public property, near schools, the library, places where we've seen people, lay down to rest. I don't know if you've been keeping up on that or if you're familiar with that ordinance, but your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's all you're doing is criminalizing the homeless and the poor. That's all they're doing. They have no solutions. They're not problem solving. These are people that make campaign promises, like Councilmember Villegas, Tony Villegas. Down in the wine festival, his campaign literature says, I'm going to help the homeless. I'm going to find solutions. Nothing on the agenda from him at all since he's been a council member saying that he's going to help the homeless. Where's his campaign promises? He broke the campaign promises, not to me, to the community, They're going off, they say something, and then they go in office and react and do other things, They're not doing what they're saying they're doing, I'm disgusted with the city council and the mayor, We're less than 2 months away from the winter time, the rains and the cold weather. You can't keep on pushing this off and delaying it. It's delay after delay after delay. The homeless issue and crisis has been going on for years. Chinatown's got a history of being the homeless and the poor down there. They've been there for years. This is not like an overnight or last month or last year. It's been going on for years. I looked it up on YouTube. I see back 2012, 2011, 2029. This was the 21st century. We have to start taking care of our community as a whole and showing respect and compassion. That's what I'm for. That's why I care. It's from the heart. You want to talk about taxation? Tax me. You want to talk about budget? Tax me. I'll pay. I'll donate in my pocket. Whatever it takes. I want to see people able to sleep comfortably and safely and peacefully in their homes and take care of them for their health,
Thank you so
Thank you very much. I
much.
appreciate everything.
Of course, and let me give you my
What's up?
card.
Yeah.
I do my best to follow this
Oh yeah, I know you do. You're low.
but if something comes up that
Yeah, I'll call
I
you.
miss,
Yeah, I'll call you. I don't do Facebook anymore. Thanks a lot, huh?
Thank you.
Take care. You have an email address, right?
Yes, it's there.
I'll email you or just call you.
Okay.
I don't want to bother you.
Thank you.
You're busy. Thank you, huh?
Take care.
Do you know about the recommendation from the Department of Justice? Do you know?
Well, the 110 recommendations.
Yes, and one of them was dealing with mental health issues. Mental health. Department internal process is in need of a major overhaul. The department is not engaging with the community and does not have a stable relation with the community. Notable deficiency with internal communication, resulting from confusion with the rights and contribute to the overall. And that was after the hearings of that.
Yeah.
pues ellos dicen que ha
Sí,
mejorado.
fue 2015 que no, the 4 days.
But they say they have complied almost 60%.
Oh.
40%
En otro reporte
and
dijo que era
working-
45%.
According to the 40% and they're working on 60.
Ah. A ver si es cierto.
I know.
Queda lo más difícil, yo creo. So guys.
Entiende mi papá lo que estaba diciendo. Bueno, Lizarejo, supervisor distrito. Bueno, entonces, ¿qué piensas tú de del reporte que se hizo del Departamento de Justicia? El Departamento de Justicia no va a seguir ayudando a la ciudad de Salinas, pero dice el Departamento de la ciudad de Salinas que va a seguir ayudando. Pues, ¿qué piensas tú de toda la situación?
Pues yo pienso que la noticia del gobierno federal abajo del presidente Donald Trump es triste porque el Departamento de Justicia se había comprometido a trabajar con el Departamento de Policía aquí de Salinas de hace 2-3 años atrás cuando hubo los 4 muertes y había mucha publicidad y es cuando se metió el Departamento de Justicia para ayudar a investigar lo que estaba pasando, pero hacer recomendaciones y al final hicieron un reporte con 110 recomendaciones cómo el Departamento de Policía de Salinas puede mejorar cómo da servicio a la comunidad y cómo interactúa con la comunidad. Y había muchos problemas y gracias a Dios que hasta ahorita han hecho poco progreso, pero hay mucho más que hacer. Y ahora la llamada que recibió la ciudad unos días atrás diciendo que ya no iban a participar en este programa, no solamente Salinas, pero otras ciudades donde la policía tenía problemas con la comunidad. Y para mí yo lo veo que es algo triste porque hay mucho trabajo que hacer para mejorar los servicios.
¿Usted piensa como supervisor que la Policía de Salinas ha mejorado su interacción, comunicación con la comunidad?
Yo creo que en los últimos meses con el nuevo Police Chief, Adel Frese, se han dado esos pasos importantes. Por ejemplo, en emplear a más personas que son aquí de Salinas, que son latinos, hablan español, más mujeres, porque un departamento de policía debe reflejar la comunidad. Y si uno tiene oficiales de la policía que son nacidos aquí, que se fueron criados, sus familias viven aquí, entonces sabemos que ellos van a interactuar con la comunidad totalmente diferente. Yo creo que son pasos importantes, pero también hay que hacer mejores puentes con la comunidad, porque hasta ahorita han expresado querer ser más, acercarse más con la comunidad, pero debe haber más esfuerzos para que podamos ver eso realizándose en muchos diferentes vecindarios por toda la ciudad.
Ok, ¿qué se necesita entonces?
Pero, por ejemplo, se necesita, en veces hay programas de entrenamiento con vecindarios y con el departamento. Así uno en un vecindario sabe cuál oficial es el que está manejando en ese vecindario, dan entrenamiento, cómo mejorar y trabajar más cerca con la policía. Y también el policía tener entrenamiento cómo respetar y dar servicios de una manera muy profesional. Cuando he hablado con familias, cuando han tenido experiencias en el pasado, algo que se les queda en la mente es que no actuaron de una manera profesional y es cuando hay quejas. So yo pienso que implementando programas, trabajando con los vecindarios donde hay más necesidad, para que puedan conocer al police chief, a los oficiales que van a trabajar en ese vecindario y también cómo tener más confianza entre el departamento y la comunidad, porque ahorita todavía se ve que todavía no están tan cerca como deben de ser.
Perfecto. What was kind of discussed with the supervisor?
Okay, so dos cosas. Well, heads up. One is the shelter. That's why Wes and others are here because we postponed it 1 week because we already agreed on the permanent shelter. Va a ser on activity. The temporary was to be here on 321 Main.
Can you tell me that? Whatever information. Bueno, ¿qué se discutió en los supervisores hoy?
Bueno, hoy todavía continúa la conversación donde podemos poner un refugio para las familias, personas desamparados. La semana pasada querían tener más tiempo para hablar con la ciudad de Salinas y con el alcalde Joe Gunter para ver si podemos hacer un esfuerzo donde van a participar la ciudad con el condado y dividir los costos. La semana pasada había oposición en el sitio, en la 321 calle Main, aquí en Salinas. Unos no querían ese sitio, pero desde entonces hemos hablado con la ciudad Hay otro sitio alternativo que nomás es 2 bloques aquí, es donde está el edificio de la oficina del defensor público,
Por la calle Natividad.
los abogados aquí en la West Alisal, aquí del otro lado del correo de Steinbeck.
Entonces es otra opción.
Esa es otra opción porque ahí se va a salir el defensor público ya para noviembre y en ese sitio no había costo al condado, a la ciudad, en renta, en cuestión de
Entonces
renta.
eso fue lo que se decidió.
No, eso es lo que estamos negociando ahorita. Ahorita en la tarde vamos a regresar y vamos a declarar cuál es el plan entre la ciudad y el condado y ojalá que eso sea la alternativa donde podemos estar de acuerdo y tiene menos costo.
Local leaders taking action trying to deal with homelessness in Monterey County. The largest homeless population is in Salinas. The city council established some rules today on where they can and cannot be. Action News reporter Bianca Beltran with a breakdown for us right now.
Well, Dan, this is an issue they're taking on right now at their city council meeting happening as we speak. The ordinance that they are considering would allow overnight camping on public property between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m., but it also includes an exhaustive list of where camping is not allowed. Here's a look at some of the prohibitions. It prohibits camping within 300 feet of property owned by the city of Salinas, as well as places where children gather regularly, like schools and recreation centers. The ordinance also makes it illegal to camp within 100 feet of a bar, nightclub, or other businesses that sell liquor or marijuana. The mayor says this ordinance is in response to many health and safety problems the city has experienced.
People have walked out and there's people going to the bathroom on the front of the buildings at the library. Who with their pants down, naked people sitting there having conversations with themselves that have mental health issues.
We'll take it, absolutely, we'll take it. Any kind of sanity is better than none at all. But quite honestly, I mean, we need to meet people where they're at, okay? We already realize that there is nowhere else for these people to go.
The ordinance also establishes a procedure for cleanups of homeless encampments. The Public Works Director says just in August, cleanup crews removed 10 tons of trash from Chinatown alone. Dan.
All right, very good. Thank you, Bianca. Appreciate it. One of the biggest questions on this issue is just where the homeless are expected to go. This afternoon, the city did reach a tentative agreement with the county to open a temporary homeless shelter with the portable buildings where the public defender's office is currently located. Those are going to be vacated in November. In News Across America.
Mayor Gunter, if you could just come forward and let me ask you a quick question about the length of time that your item is going to take. I know that you have the 4 o'clock city council waiting for you. This is reflecting back on item, a morning item, and that was item
17.
Thank you.
From what I understand, with our staff and your staff, they've come to an agreement that they feel will be acceptable to everyone, and the proposal will move forward for the positive side for the public defender building, with hopes for 1220 to do that in the future. They've worked the deal as far as I know. I'm going to head nod from your staff, and then they'll be presenting this, and I'll go back and do what you're doing right now.
Thank you. Thanks, go ahead. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I do have a question for the mayor before he escapes.
Sorry.
I'm happy to wait until Ellie does his thing, but
Go ahead.
I just was wondering, are you planning to have your city council take a vote this week so that we can know promptly what?
We will be presenting it to our housing committee, and then we will be ready, maybe not tonight, but hopefully within a week, we will have an answer for you. But I've been assured that it will pass with no problems, probably 7-0.
That's an interesting, I won't go into how you would know that, but so you're saying that the city council will have taken a formal action?
They will be ready
this
to
week?
take a formal action and to agree. It'll be the first part of next week.
Okay, on Tuesday at their
Yes.
meeting?
And we will plug that in. It was a study session, which will now have one item added.
And just wondering, we'll hear from staff and then we'll bring it back to the board, and I have a suggestion for a motion.
Okay, so the agreement we worked out, I have some copies that I have no copies here, I have bunches of them, but I didn't have the clerk bring up.
Is it possible to use the overhead?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so the framework that we agreed upon is that the site for the 2017-18 winter warming shelter will be 111 West Alisal, the portables, which are the portables currently utilized by the Public Defender's Office, from the period of availability, but no sooner than November 1st, 2017 through April 30th, 2018. The County of Monterey and City of Salinas agreed to share half the cost of site preparation and shelter operations, with the City of Salinas' share being capped at $240,000 and funded through the Emergency Solutions Grant. The Monterey County Department of Social Services will negotiate and execute a contract with the Community Homeless Solutions for shelter operations in partnership with the City of Salinas. The County of Monterey and the City of Salinas agreed to partner in the development of a permanent year-round shelter at 1220 Natividad Road. The County of Monterey and City of Salinas agreed to partner to proceed with an environmental review of the 1220 Natividad Road site, with the details of the participation with the City of Salinas to be worked out. The County of Monterey and City of Salinas agreed to work together to identify a nonprofit partner for site development of the permanent shelter at 1220 Natividad Road. The County of Monterey and City of Salinas agreed to partner with the Lead Me Home Leadership Council for the permanent shelter model and operations at 1220 Natividad Road. And the County of Monterey and City of Salinas agreed to partner to identify and implement interim solutions to address the shelter needs of unhoused residents after April 30, 2017, until such time as the permanent shelter at 1220 Natividad Road is operational. So that's the framework. We'll have to memorialize that as well into a formal MOU and bring that back to the board. I also just want to work through that we do have more negotiations to go through with Community Homeless Solutions. They had responded to an RFP for a year-round shelter at 321 North Main Street. This is a different location. It's potential that we can have a different number of beds there. And those are some of the details to be worked out, whether it fits their model or not. But I did have a conversation with the executive director of Community Homeless Solutions, Reyes Bonilla, who is currently working with his board to kind of make sure they are, or see if they're still interested in partnering with us. But that is going to be the next lift that we have to go through with that negotiation, Community Homeless Solutions.
Thank you very much. And because the item was listed on the agenda as approval of a lease at North Main Street, what I think we need to do is take the framework under consideration and then come back next week for a motion to accept the formal move to the portables, or the use of the 111 West Alisal as the site for the temporary warming shelter.
That would be correct. And hopefully we'll also have, my fingers crossed that we can have the MOU together. If not, we'll bring that on consent to a later agenda.
Madam Chair, if you make a motion, I'll second that.
Thank you. Yes, there is a motion. You have a second.
Just two other points that I'm hoping, since Mayor Gunter is still here, that we might be able to modify. One was just also, just like there's a language about working together for the permitting for the 1220. I think we also need that language for the Public Defender building, because if we're moving to try to open this by November 1st, as stated in paragraph 1, we just need to be clear on that. And then the second was just to see if, rather than April 30th, last year we were able to extend that shelter to the end of May. I'm hoping we could just parallel what we did this past year, and rather than closing April 30th, if just by 1 more month, we could extend it to the end of May, if that's possible.
I'll defer to the mayor on the end of May. Looks like
I see it as a yes, so we say yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
So we have a motion, the second, all in favor, please say aye.
Madam Chair, could I ask a question?
Yeah, I guess I should allow a comment here both from the board and the public. So Supervisor Parker, then Supervisor Phillips.
I guess just to try to see where we are. There were some people here this morning commenting on, from the Downtown Business Association, commenting on shelters and locations. And I guess another question for Mayor Gunter is, do you know whether they're supportive of this option?
Yes, I have met with all of them. They understand this is a temporary shelter with the positive thought of us moving to Natividad Road in the following year. They are in support of and are willing to work and help all of us get through this.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I would just mention that we did now just change April 30th, 2018 to May 31st, and in number 8, it needs to reflect 2018, because otherwise we missed our own deadline.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Supervisor Phillips, comment?
I think this is a good solution. The operative thing is the city and county partnering together, and I think that's critical, and I'd like to thank Mayor Gunner for stepping up and bringing this to fruition. I appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you for that. I also would like to thank Public Defender Chapman for her ability in willingness to scooch out quickly, and the same for all the staff that's going to have to do a lot of yeoman's work in the government center to be able to accommodate that quick move so that we have the portables available. So thanks to all of the staff who've been involved, and appreciate that very much.
Just a quick thank you, Mayor, for responding to that. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Help us get through the permitting process if there is one that we need to do for the portables, and we're good to go.
It's your property, and I can't tell you what to build on it. You are the tenant.
Thank you for that. Good reminder. Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. The motion passes unanimously. And now, I'm happy to report that we can get back to our agenda at the normal place and pick up on item 15.
Unbelievable.
I'm so sorry. I did not invite speakers to speak on the last item.
That's very true.
Speakers. Thank you. Thanks very much. Oh.
Hi, I'm Wes White, Salinas resident, talking about that 17.1, which we've now voted on. I'm pleased with the outcome.
Thank you.
I'm disappointed that it's taken so long. I'm disappointed that there has been so much resistance and opposition, and I'm hoping that it's not just a chump change, okay, fine, we know we're up against the wall, and I'm hoping it's more of a shift in attitude of the naysayers of any shelter within the city limits, because that's just what we need to be able to take care of each other, and not just push them out because of money.
Thank you very much for your remarks. Yes.
Michael, and I'm trying to do what I can to encourage the Marina City Council to cooperate with the county regarding this problem. So like when I hear Salinas doing so much, it really gives me a lot of guilt that I can apply to the Marina City Council to try to get them to cooperate as much as they can too, because it's a county problem. And this is hopefully encouraging to other cities in the county to cooperate with the county. Thank you.
Thank you very much.